So I've been having problems recently. Remember the day that I ended my stream early? So I went to the emergency room that day.
You notice that some people can get away with things for a while when they're young, but it catches up.
What do I do when I'm anxious? What do I do when anything? I'm upset, I'm sad. It's very simple. I ignore it.
They say that people have to have like 3 really big scares before they actually really do anything.
Exercise and try to be stressed out less.
I do love the fact that he is identifying exercise as like being something that he needs to get to.
I don't want to kill myself. That day, I realized that like, holy, like I was scared, man.
I don't think that's like all our main motivators, but it's a big reason to stay healthy.
It sounds like he values life a lot. Bro, if you value life a lot, maybe you should live your life a little healthier.
Wow. Who drinks this shit?
What do we got on tap for today?
Our boy Asmongold.
Hey.
It was a $2 steak. Yeah. Well, he's
remember his kitchen was gross. Remember that?
I remember that. Yeah.
He like pulled a fork out of like the sink and he's like, I think this is clean enough. And he's like, which I do shit like that all the time. I'm not going to do it on camera.
No.
Do you clean your pan after you make your eggs?
Sometimes.
Seriously?
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yo.
I do all kinds of weird stuff at my house.
Well, okay. You're still healthy. You haven't had any scares yet, so I guess you're okay.
Yeah. The thing I do is like I'll use scissors for everything. Like I'll open up an Amazon package, I'll cut open some like a package of meat, and I'll use the same scissors to cut the meat again and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Hope you wash your scissors.
No.
No?
I mean, they're out. So like eat a little rinsey poo.
You're joking though, right?
Bro, anytime I question anything like, oh, is this sanitary? Like this okay? I think about raw meat experience or experiment. And I'm like, dude, that guy's eating like raw chicken, raw fish, raw ground beef.
He's still going,
and he's still going. He created another one that was like raw chicken experiment.
Oh, God.
But he was getting bored of just like not dying. He's like, I'm still going. I don't know what else to do now. So I think about him and I'm like, all right, we're good. Like, I don't need to wash these scissors.
We need all these germs. I mean, I like will rinse something off, wipe something down. I mean, I don't know. It just kind of depends. Like if I cooked something in the morning and then I'm going to cook something later on, I may not completely wash the pan super clean. I'm not going to use soap every time. I don't like soap. I always just think like soap makes my like cooking situation soapy. So I don't use it as much.
No good,
But we obviously like put stuff in the dishwasher and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, good. I just sent, before we get to this Asmon video, we need to watch our boy here make some orange chicken. Should put on the vine for this. We were just talking about orange chicken.
I don't remember his actual name, but we had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Exactly how they do it at Panda Express.
Oranges and the peels and the chicken.
With raw chicken in a blender.
Nice.
That was loud. Sorry.
Is he going to drink that shit? God.
Chicken shake.
And there's still chunks. There's still chunks.
I wonder if it was good.
You got to get the calories in. He's always wearing a nice little suit or a sports coat.
It was chicken and like a full orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's made orange chicken.
I am truly curious about like his gut microbiome because like
He's
he hasn't
super
gotten,
healthy.
you know, he hasn't gotten anything. Maybe he can fight everything off.
Yeah, it's really weird.
But our boy Asmon can't apparently. So let's watch this. It should be interesting.
Right, let's go.
I guess I can probably just like say, I kind of don't want to hide it a whole lot. Is like, so I've been having problems recently. Like I remember the day that I ended my stream early. So I went to the emergency room that day, and because I felt like uncomfortable, like a discomfort in my chest. And so they did an EKG on me and like they did all this stuff and they said that I was okay, but my blood pressure was very high. And so it was like, cause I've actually been like, I've had very bad stress problems.
So pause this real quick. I think this video is interesting because like he's not very old. He's 34, right? And I mean, mind you, anybody can get sick at any time, but like the dude is like known to drink full sugar sodas all the time.
Lots of caffeine.
Lots of caffeine. He doesn't really eat healthy. Like he doesn't eat vegetables, doesn't eat a lot of actual protein. It's
probably pretty much indoors.
I was gonna ask, are his like streams usually at night? I mean, seems obvious, but they're probably really late,
He
right?
streams all the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
streams
literally
during the
like 20
day, streams in the evening.
Okay.
But like he's like people see kind of like the way he eats, the sugary drinks he drinks, and it's one of those things where it's like you notice that some people can get away with things for a while when they're young, but it catches up.
Oh yeah, shit catches up to you. You got to keep moving.
Like the point, and like my policy is that what do I do when I'm scared? What do I do when I'm anxious? What do I do in anything? I'm upset, I'm sad. It's very simple. I fucking ignore it and I keep going no matter what.
Like a real man.
Yeah.
But I was worried that it was that it's killing me. And I'm concerned that it might be. And so I've had to dial back a lot of the stress. And so I've had to deal with this. And like my blood pressure was in like the 170s. It was really, really bad because of how stressed out I've been. And so that's why I have it.
You know, when people say they're stressed out, I think it's a very tough situation sometimes because I don't think people have a good idea of how to identify where the stress is coming from. Like what's the source of the stress? People just say they're stressed out. Or we've had people on the show before talk about how they've had, you know, dark times, and then they don't really define it. Like what's the dark time? Like you cheated on your spouse and now you're completely fucked. That's the dark time. Or you got addicted to drugs, but they're not really like defining like what they mean by. So I wonder what he's referring to in terms of stress. And I think it's good to point out there is not a level of stress that you can't handle. Like you can handle enormous amounts of stress. It just depends on how you're able to deal with it and your skill set for it. You know, like any one of the three of us, we're pretty comfortable in front of a camera, but I don't know how comfortable I am in front of a camera if I'm talking to Al Roker on the fucking Today Show. But what's John Cena's level of comfort with that? You know, he's used to it. So it's going to be a little easier for someone like that. So it kind of just shows you there's many levels to be able to handle many different types of stresses, and you can inoculate yourself to a lot of these things by being healthy and by being strong and by. So I do wonder when I sometimes hear people say, when I hear someone say stressed out, it kind of just makes me think that they're procrastinating on a lot of things. They're not following through on the things that they've talked to themselves about doing. They're not doing them when they're supposed to do them. And they're not finished projects. And so that's where I think a lot of the anxiety comes from for a lot of people.
Real quick, guys, I don't know what good blood pressure or whatever. Like he said he was 170. Like what is typically like a healthy level?
I always forget.
Yeah. I don't know. Like whenever somebody talks about it, I'm like, is that good or bad? I never know.
Systolic, diastolic. I don't know. Maybe we can look it up.
I think it's like 120/80. 1 second.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
Oh, nice. 120/80.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. There we go.
So
Damn.
when he says 170,
Yeah, it's probably the first number.
damn. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. The more you know.
Been streaming as much for like a number of days. 1 day, 70. So I just had a nosebleed. And so I thought to myself, oh my God, because that's an indicator of a stroke or like a heart attack. And so that's why I went downstairs to take my blood pressure in to make sure that I was okay. And I checked my nose and I found I was just picking at my nose the wrong way. And it seems like I'm fine. So that's the reason why. And I've been exercising every day now.
It's in his Google
and
search.
I've changed what I was eating too already. And I'm probably going to have to schedule an appointment with my doctor about this to make sure that I'm okay. Because it was really weird that I had like that feeling. That's heart attack level? Yeah, it is. But I just checked it. It's not anywhere near that. It's like 135, which is like, that's not great, but it's not also, like worrisome.
Pause this though. You know, it's really cool that he started exercising, and I'm curious how he changed up his diet. But this is one of those things where it's like, how long, right, does it take for somebody to make that change? Because like if you're as successful as he is, you make millions of dollars, you continue doing the same thing. It's like for a lot of people, it takes a really, really big scare. And at 34 years old, this is a pretty substantial thing to happen where you've been eating the same way. You've been drinking all the like soda. You've been like sitting down for so long and not doing this stuff. I just wonder if the small changes he's making is actually going to be able to make that big of a difference. Cause it seems like it's going to need to be some drastic changes.
They say that people have to have like 3 really big scares before they actually really do anything. So a lot of times what happens is, and I'm not saying this is the case for him, but a lot of times people will make some small changes. Some of the things that they are experiencing may subside. He may do a couple easy things. He may say like, all right, I'm only going to stream like twice a week and I'm going to back off on this and that. And I'm going to get an assistant to help with whatever the hell else he does, right? And he might be able to like lower his levels of stress. But a lot of times people just go back to the behaviors because they're addicted to them. And we have all these studies and all these people laughing about their morning coffee and their caffeine and all these things. And it's really, it can be really dangerous to a lot of people. And maybe not for everybody. Maybe people can figure out ways to enjoy alcohol, and maybe people can figure out ways to enjoy, certain things when they can control it. But when you're compromised and when your blood pressure is through the roof, you definitely have to examine your diet. You definitely have to examine the things that you're consuming. I think most people would say, hey, let's just take some caffeine. Let's just back way off on that. And then let's check out your blood pressure. And if there seems to be a correlation between those two, then you'll have to, reduce the amount of caffeine and maybe at some point get yourself to you're not consuming it at all. But something else that's interesting is like most people, when they have high blood pressure and they haven't really had a dietary intervention, a low carb diet works amazing. And you hear a lot of times people are like, well, you really just lost water weight. Well, that's kind of what blood pressure is. Blood pressure is you just being like bloated. You just like holding on to more water than you need. And so you build this like pressure in your body. And for a lot of people, if they just went on, I'm not saying low carb is going to completely solve it and it's all of a sudden going to be gone forever. But a low carb diet would be tremendous. That would be a great place to start, and just cutting back on some of the sugars and stuff.
But isn't it just a calorie restriction? Or is there something magical?
Of course. No, a calorie restriction can be useful. I just think that for a guy like this, like if I could give him one message, I would say just don't eat. If it has carbohydrates in it, just don't eat it for like a month and just see what happens.
Mind you, he's 6'4", 140.
Yeah.
You're right. He's like, so it's not like he's, it's like you got to wonder where is he getting his calories? There's probably a lot of drinks.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's one of those things where it's, he has to change up a lot of stuff. And then I'm actually curious what your thoughts, both of you guys, when someone's mentioning, the stress, because stress is real. And don't get me wrong, stress can cause a lot of issues, but the way you eat can affect the way you handle everything. The amount of caffeine you drink can affect how stressed you feel, right? So it's one of those things where it's like you really need to change up your food habits so you can potentially handle stress better. But unfortunately for people and for everyone, sometimes the food you eat is the way you handle your stress, right?
And you see that a lot with little kids. Like people can point that out really easy with children, but then they won't point that out in themselves. They'll be like, "Oh man, Johnny, he had sugar earlier, and so the kid's now having like a meltdown or whatever." And he maybe had too much birthday cake or something like that, and you can really see it can have a profound effect. A lot of times, little kids will act that way anyway. It's not always correlated directly to food, but we do know that food can have a huge impact. And I think, to your point, I think that food's like making us crazy. I really do. I think that food is like really fucking us up for like way worse than we give it credit to. And I don't know what it will take for this country to turn around that way. I do know that like RFK has been talking a lot, beating that drum of talking a lot about health and mentioning that 1 out of 5 children nowadays have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which fatty liver disease used to be something that was could only happen, or we thought it could only happen from people that were alcoholics that drank for a really long time and abused alcohol. Until more recently, we found out that through highly processed foods and overeating for a long period of time, that other people can acquire non-alcoholic, what they call it, fatty liver disease, and now like children are getting it. It's like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matrix Foods. To answer your question, Nsima, I know for sure for myself, if I have like maybe a little bit too much caffeine and I'm not doing something, I just start to get anxious. Like I just want to go move, but if I have nothing planned or whatever, I don't know where to put that energy. So if I am ever going to have more than a cup of coffee, then I need to be moving and doing something. And I don't mean like a pre-workout. I mean literally like I need to go work on something. I need to go work in the backyard. I need to work on, the podcast or whatever. Because without that, like I'm kind of a mess. Like I get anxious and it shows on me too. So I have to be careful.
Yeah, and we're around some kids that are like in their 20s, and my son is 20 and a couple of his friends. And you just kind of see like they just like will pop like an energy drink. They just like drink an energy drink without really much thought.
Multiple.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, I understand. Like you're working on the computer, like you're working, you're doing something, but it's not really physical. So to me, it's like what you're saying, Andrew, is like all that angst is just going to be like kind of sitting in there. Unless you go in the gym and do some wall balls and some burpees or something, you might not be able to get all that energy out of you. And now it's just sitting in there, and you got some extra kind of baggage with you, I think.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just like you hit a certain age, but I just know for myself and everybody I knew, we would say things like, oh, I can have an energy drink and it doesn't affect me at all. I just like the taste. And if I do that now, I'm like, I feel like I'm a wreck. Like I said, like I'm not a good functioning human if I have an energy drink. It's weird. Not weird. It's just weird how it switched on me.
We talk about physical performance so much and how important it is to be healthy. But how about your sexual performance? And I'm being serious. So for all the guys in here, being real, sometimes you're just a little bit stressed. Maybe you didn't get much sleep. Blood flow doesn't work the way it should. You go in and it's time for some fun, and this is what you're working with. Whereas this is what you should be working with. That's why we've partnered with Joy Mode. And I'm being serious here, because Joy Mode has ingredients within their product that is going to massively help with blood flow. And we know that if you want to be working with something that doesn't have any give to it, you need good blood flow into your manhood. All right. The ingredients on Joy Mode are as follows: vitamin C, citrulline, arginine nitrate, Panax ginseng root. This is legit stuff mixed into easy packets that you can pour in a drink, and 30 minutes later, your blood's going to be flowing like it should. So Andrew, where can they get it?
Yes, that's over at usejoymode.com, and at checkout, use promo code PowerProject to save 20% off your entire order. Again, usejoymode.com, links in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Damn it.
Oh, shit.
Right, 135 is still high. Panic attack, yeah, cardio will help for this. Yeah, and that's exactly what I've been doing. And so that's the reason actually why I've been doing shorter streams. I don't really want to talk about it a lot. Just give me a second. My dad's calling me. Hello?
This is literally...
Hey.
Does he know that he's funny? Like, I feel like this guy, like...
hilarious.
Yeah. Can you just let me do this? Like I'm like...
Pause this though. It is interesting though, because it seems like someone like him, because again, he is, when he does talk about like, or when he shows like the stuff he eats, the stuff he drinks, he's very open about that. And it's not that you need to be open about every part of your life, but when the things that you do and the things that you're showing all your probably like, viewers, turns out to be something that's negatively impacting your health. And you probably have a lot of young viewers that love you that are probably just like drinking the same shit, eating the same way. It's probably important to show them the downside of that too, right?
Yeah, and what's going to happen when he's like on like a strict diet, and then he starts talking about health and nutrition, and a lot of those people are probably going to be
so upset.
Yeah, a lot of those people are probably going to be like, "What?" Like because he's kind of bragging about it a little bit, right? Like he has the sodas and all that stuff, and he's 6'4", and he's lean, but he's also probably like, I mean, I would say 6'4", 140. Is that what you said?
Yes.
I mean, I would just say that doesn't sound like a healthy weight. I don't know what you should be at 6'4", but probably at least 180, I would say.
Yeah, at least.
I'll talk to you later. I don't like to talk about that kind of stuff because it just, I think it invites a lot of like parasocial stuff. But, you know, since I've had to end stream early a few days and like it's still fucking with my head. Like oh God. Oh Jesus. Yeah, and so that's really it. You start eating healthier, it's catching up to you, bro. I think it's honestly stress more than anything else. Like it's really just stress and it's a lack of exercise. And so I'm going to
an interesting thing about the stress thing he's mentioning, because I'll be quick about this, but a few weeks ago, AC conked out. I don't think I mentioned this on air, but for 7 days didn't have it. And then every night was bad sleep. My heart rate was at like 60 something because the room was at like 90 degrees each night, right? So I was losing weight every day. I had no energy to do other things. And I got down to like 238. And that's the lightest I've been in a long time. So yeah, I was stressed and my sleep was shit, even though I was trying to like get good sleep. So it's one of those things where, yeah, stress can make a difference, but it's like, there's a lot of things you can do that add to that stress. Like we just mentioned, the way you eat, you're not taking care of your sleep hygiene probably. All these things will make you more stressed.
Do you guys think stress and anxiety are like different things?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think they're kind of different things. But I think with him, I think he might be blending them together a little bit. I think stress is obviously like a hard thing to deal with, but I think it's easier to maybe just apply some like general health rules to it. I think anxiety is a little bit more of like a mental condition that you may have had for a while that it's going to be a lot harder to like shake. Dealing with stress and stress management, like I think you could literally watch some videos and gain some access into like figuring out how to manage your life a little bit better. And then maybe you could be like less stressed.
Yeah.
But anxiety is an interesting one because I don't know how much of a choice that one is. I do think that I do think that healthier practices are always going to help and give you healthier outcomes, regardless of how impactful nutrition actually is with anxiety. But, you know, having someone like Dr. Palmer that came on here from the University of Harvard talking about, you know, a ketogenic diet and some of its efficacy with some basically just like disorders and mental issues that people may have, I think it's just incredible. And it's like, for a guy like this, it just makes sense to me that, you know, for someone like that to give a diet like that a shot and just try it for a few weeks and see if some of these things subside, see if some of the anxiety or stress or whatever the particular thing is with him. He did also mention in the beginning how he just likes to kind of brush stuff off.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely guilty of that quite a bit. But I don't completely brush it off. I will push it to the side and I'll be like, I'm going to like deal with that later. And I usually try to like almost like hyperanalyze it and break it down and go, where is this coming from? You know, is there any truth to this? Should you be anxious? Should you be worried? You know, being like really worried or overly concerned about much of anything isn't my demeanor. It's out of the norm for me. But if it does happen, then I need to think about like, where is this coming from? Is this real? You know, a lot of times it's not real. A lot of times it's like something that you sort of manifested in your head. You're like, oh, you know, my wife is going to think this if I say this to her, and then this is going to happen. That's going to happen. You're like 7 miles down the road with this idea that you never even communicated anything about to anybody. And then you go and tell them, oh, I was, you know, worried about saying this to you because of this. And they'll go, what? What the fuck are you talking about? But you already had this conversation in your head that this whole thing was going to go, this ship was like going to crash and burn so bad. So I think it's important, like try to, you know, work these things out and really try to investigate like how real they are.
Yeah. I would say that like stress is a sort of like an overwhelming feeling. You know, like you have a lot of stuff to do, or you're under a lot of bills, you know, and you don't have like money coming in, then you're stressed about like feeling overwhelmed. And then anxiety is like you're scared of whatever it may be. You know, you're scared that you're not going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. You're scared of
something that hasn't happened yet.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. That's what they say. Like depression is being upset about something in the past, and anxiety is being afraid of something in the future. And then I feel like stress is in that middle section where you just feel overwhelmed.
The key, though, is it's something that hasn't happened, period. Don't stick the yet on there.
Yeah, don't stick the yet on there. Oh, yeah, don't stick the yet on there.
Very, very true.
Something that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh fuck.
Even the yet is like in a level of anxiety. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, not yet.
Yeah. Like it's coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As a recovering anxious person, I guess that's still in the vocabulary. Let's do this.
Exercise and stress out and try to be stressed out less. Like, because it was weird that stress is an insidious killer. I know.
Can you
Could be
pause
hyper-
it? I do love the fact that he is identifying exercise as like being something that he needs to get to.
Yes.
So good on him for identifying that. He just said it's like lack of exercise. I need to move around more.
Tension, it is, yeah. And so that's been the position that I've been in, and yeah, I've been trying to just be on and stream as much as I can and everything, and say fuck it, it's fine, but I don't want to kill myself, right? Which is weird, right? Because like I've tried very hard to like kind of move away from like being afraid of like dying and like all that stuff, but man. That day, I realized that, like, holy fuck, like, I was scared, man. I really was. And so...
Pause. That's interesting. Not being... trying to move away from being afraid of dying. Death is scary, dog. Like, I don't know if I could ever not be afraid of death. And because I know a lot of people... I've heard people on the stoicism side of the internet be like, don't fear death.
Oh, yeah,
blah, blah,
memento
blah.
mori, like means you're going to die tomorrow or something along those lines.
Yeah, and but like death is scary, especially when you've had people like I think we've all had people close to us die. It sucks. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think one side of trying to be so healthy is to prevent yourself from getting sick with some shit and knocking, you know what I mean? I don't think that's like all our main motivators, but it's a big reason to stay healthy.
Yeah, I think it's normal to be like a little bit scared of death. But what I'm hearing from him, like if I was like his therapist, I would say, Asmongold, what I'm hearing you say is it sounds like he values life a lot.
Yeah.
And that's like an important factor. It's like, bro, if you value life a lot, maybe you should live your life a little healthier. You know, like we don't have to like get into like all the X's and O's of exactly what you need to do, but just healthier. How about that? How about just like not 7 Cokes a day, just 2,
and maybe Diet Cokes.
Yeah, throw in a fucking Coke Zero every once in a while.
Yeah, have some protein, have some whey protein.
His body would just probably freak out.
Just watch, he gains 10
Just
pounds
balloons
of muscle.
up, yeah.
He never knew he had this like amazing affinity to like build a lot of muscle. He just gets fucking yoked.
Yeah.
I ordered protein bars.
Shit.
Drinking water now. Soda. And we've got to make some.
Oh my gosh.
Pause drinking water now. Holy shit. I knew guys when I was younger who just hated water. I'm like, how do you hate life?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Lots of people.
Oh, but hey, there we go. This is good shit.
So I don't want to talk about it a whole lot more or anything like that. It's whatever. Open a Gatorade. I actually did get Gatorade. I got Gatorade as well. Yep, there we go.
That looks like the zero sugar
And
Gatorade.
yeah, I'm going to change my diet and eat a little bit differently because I don't want to have to go on medication. I think that the first thing, people that go on medication die. In my opinion, like I think that like there's all these times like I know people that are like younger than me and they have 5 different medications. That's terrifying, absolutely fucking terrifying. And so I want to do whatever I can to like be able to like overcome it physically myself. I think that the human body is made to last. It's made to endure. And I'm 34, right? And so like it's going to be a while, right? I've been alive for a while and a lot of my friends have already had a lot of issues. And so, I think it's the stress and I've been like not getting a lot of sleep in a lot of days too with like anxiety. And so, yeah.
Pause.
That
medication thing he mentioned that's actually really great insight from him. But it is pretty wild because like I know people that I've gone to high school with that are on quite a few medications right now. You think about that, you're like, oh, you're in your early 30s. You know?
It's so common, right? You know, so common, like you go to the doctor for A, B, or C, and they prescribe stuff. It's not really their fault. It's not necessarily your fault. It's just sort of like the way the system is. Yeah. You're actually looking for help and looking for relief. And the doctor's like, well, I have just the thing for you. And they have been recommended this drug, and it actually fits exactly what you just said. And they don't really have other techniques. Most doctors don't have other techniques. They're not necessarily going to. I mean, the first question you should probably ask everybody is like, how's your sleep and how's your food? You know, because like if you are, over the last several years, over the last several years, if you felt like fairly normal and now you're having all these, all this like anxiety and panic and stuff like that, it's like, what has changed in the last, couple of years for somebody? And a lot of times I think it's just the accumulation of like poor health habits. Like it's going to manifest. It's going to catch up with you. And I know people hate, this talk about the sun, but this fucking guy going outside and getting a walk and getting some sunlight would be amazing. Yeah. He'll feel better. Maybe he hates going outside so much he can't stand it or whatever. And maybe he can get like a red light and just, get some sun here and there, but some sunlight in the morning, for people that are fair skinned and don't want to burn and so on, the sunlight in the morning is not going to burn you. The first 3 hours of the day, the UV is pretty low. Last 3 hours of the day, the UV is fairly low. And it's safe and it's healthy. It's a good, healthy practice.
I think what you said there, though, about him getting a red light thing, actually, for someone like him who's, streamers, gamers, that would actually probably be pretty impactful because he probably doesn't get outside that much. So that would be huge. He can get some sun and some red light on. That would make a difference.
Red light his balls while he's streaming.
Shit, why not?
All right.
Yeah, it looks like it's just like shoulders up anyways, so it should be good.
That's what it is.
I should do that.
There you go. And streaming
the show, we're all
I want to make you guys
lighting our nuts.
Why don't we do that right?
We should do that.
Great. It's like our legs up on the desk.
His dick's out. I'm surprised you're not doing that.
I know.
Andrew.
I was going to say, I'm like,
you have a covered desk.
It makes less sense that I don't do that.
Yeah.
Actually, dude. All right.
There you go.
We're doing this.
Whip that big thing out of it. I saw this comment on a recent podcast, and someone was like, "These 3 hulking men are homosexuals, right?" I was like,
"That's great.
Yeah, man.
We got to send that person a free T-shirt."
Who told?
Oh man,
packed. Never been a more accurate depiction.
The fact that they used homosexuals, though.
Yeah, what a great term.
Sophisticated.
Oh my God.
It's the energy.
Just understand this, okay? This is the least stressful part of my day. I love streaming. I love doing it. It's not your fault. It has nothing to do with the stream. Obviously, chatters can be annoying. Of course. But that's not the real reason, okay, guys? It's really not. I wish it was the reason because it would make it so fucking easy to solve. I would just stream less. So, yeah. That's so good to hear that. Yeah, no, I'm okay. And so I just want to let you guys know. And I've already been making improvements for a few days. And I've already seen a tremendous decline in like those like high spike blood pressure stuff. And, like going down today, like just a few minutes ago, it was lower than it pretty much ever has been. And that was like,
by the way, like for people who do have issues, and one simple thing that helps with blood pressure is taking walks. Talk about that all the time here, but going on walks, getting some lymphatic drainage, the body moving, that will lower your blood pressure too. A lot of things do, but getting the habit of taking walks will be massively beneficial. So
I know that like just about anybody can have, can be overwhelmed with stress and anxiety, but my observation has been it's oftentimes in people with smaller frames. Like, was that your experience, Andrew? Like growing up, like being thinner? Like I see it from like a lot of runners, actually. A lot of runners are real like fidgety and like anxious and like they have to fucking run.
Yeah.
They got to run a lot to get that anxiety out.
Yeah.
So they go miles and miles and miles and miles.
I remember when like we first started you know, being around each other, you were like, oh no, Andrew's a fidgeter or something. Like, cause I always had to shake my,
your leg,
my leg and stuff. Yeah. I don't, I always just equated it to being like skinny and just being unhappy with like my physique. And then as I got bigger, it got better. So I don't know, I just started liking myself better.
Yeah.
So that's what I always equated it to, but maybe there is something there where, yeah, like the leaner you are, the more
maybe it's part of the metabolism or
right,
something.
yeah.
You know, I'm just fucking pulling shit out of my ass at this point, but it's just an observation, something I've noticed. And maybe for individuals that are thinner and grow up, you know, skinnier, maybe some like weightlifting and some protein would be maybe a good idea. Cause maybe I don't know, you just feel, I'm imagining like if I grew up the way this guy did, I would probably feel like everyone gets picked on. I got picked on too, but I would feel way more threatened.
Oh, yeah.
I never felt threatened in my life because I was always big, and then I had older brothers, so there was never like a threat of anything like that.
Yeah, I always felt threatened, and that was a huge part of it. And
Always.
when I was a lot younger.
Yeah, that would give me a crazy amount of anxiety, I think.
No, like anywhere I would go, it was just be like, dude, how come people are always messing with me? This doesn't make sense. Like, do I just have one of those faces that people want to punch? But that, and then also, I ate a lot of carbs and I didn't eat much protein. So like I am fitting this like archetype or whatever you want to call it that you're describing. And I did happen to have like some pretty good depression, and I was anxious and fidgety and all that stuff. So I don't know. Again, that's one of those things that you're not going to see a paper about.
Yeah.
But shit.
And maybe you could go the other way too. Like if you're real heavy, maybe you feel like shit about yourself too. And maybe you feel threatened in a different way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But like that word, you know, like threatened or thinking somebody like this guy's just doesn't look like he's like durable, right? Like looks like he's very thin, very frail. And maybe if he's able to get himself out of that position where he is stronger than he is currently, I'd imagine he'd probably feel a lot better.
Yeah, no, this is weird, but I remember the day that people started moving out of the way for me. Like people would see me walking, nobody would get like no common courtesy, just like, well, let me just punk this fool real quick. And I remember the day that I walked through a group of like friends and stuff, and like they all parted ways, and I'm like, that's never happened to me before. Yeah. And this was after I had been in the gym for, I don't know, a handful of years. And I'm like, oh, I look like a man now, you know? And I just like got right back into the gym like the very next day, you know? I felt good.
Great.
I think it's sugar in a soda. Yeah, I really don't want to have to stop drinking soda. I really love soda, but I probably will have to cut back on it. I will. At least until I can get the stress in my life down, right? It's like, how do you get to 100%, right? Because like I think that I can deal with like, you know, if I didn't have any other stress factors, I feel like I'd feel fine. But I have like all these other things going on, and so it's like it's just, you know, too many things take you over the edge.
Pause. Just don't drink soda. I mean, in general, just sodas and me like it's not soda. It's just bad in terms of especially full sugar shit. Just.
I think it's just easier to like label certain things as like bad. Like they're just not things that you should probably do. I don't know about you guys, but like I've had this happen a bunch of times. You think you're buying the zero of whatever, and it's not, and then you're just like, fuck. And I just throw it out.
Yeah.
You know, I get rid of it because I'm like, I screwed up. I don't want to have like all this extra sugar and the product tastes good either way, you know? But I think the main thing is just to get rid of soda like completely.
I think the really cool thing that happens too, because this has happened to me, when you stop drinking stuff like that, when you do drink it and you put it in you, like very soon after, you will feel like it'll hit you in a different way. Because I feel like when you drink a lot of soda and a lot of sugar, you have like an adaptation to.
But the human body's great, man.
Right?
You put that fuel, it'll figure it out.
Yeah, because I drink a soda now, I'm tired. I feel not good.
Yeah, and when you're a kid and you have something like that, it just like makes you zip around for a while. You know? As you get older, you're like, no, this is not fucking good for me.
You guys think we got enough from this video?
I think so. That was good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you guys think that he keeps he's talking about like not giving up the soda, and he's talking about making these changes, but he keeps saying, "Oh, it's once I figure out and get the stress down, then we'll be good." I don't know. Do you think that he's kind of making excuses to not go all in with like the diet and maybe some other habits that are probably doing a little bit more of the damage?
It's one of those things where I feel like when people, when he's making some good changes, but when he starts feeling better and better, it might be one of those deals where like initially you want that thing, but you realize how much better off you are without it. You don't go back.
Yeah, I think obviously there's like a lot of strategies he can employ. He can like, go and talk to a therapist and all those things. And that alone might kind of fix everything. But I think ultimately there's something going on with his diet. I don't think being 6'4" and 140 is great. And then he has some of these health issues and concerns. The blood pressure is really concerning because blood pressure is something that can kill you really, really fast. I mean, and it's great that he learned that he has high blood pressure because now he can attack that and pay attention to it. But that's something that will take people out pretty quickly. So I think he's got to address, multiple things. He's got to sort of figure out where is the stress and where is some of this anxiety and stuff like that, where is it coming from? And then, try to work on that in addition to kind of going all in, like what you're saying, like rather than just being like, I don't want to give up soda. He probably should. Like, what's it going to hurt, right? What's it going to hurt if he just doesn't have soda for like 3 days? And if he eats a little bit better diet for 3 days, and then he just analyzes and, is truthful with himself, like, is this the path forward? I think he would find that it probably is.
You're trying to get healthier and you're probably eating chicken for every meal or the same beef cuts for every meal. And trust me, I know how good some cuts can be. You can make anything taste good. But Good Life Protein is the place that you want to go if you want to start adding some different types of meats into your rotation. They got picanha, they got chorizo sausage, which is still great on the macros because they're using Piedmontese beef. They have lobster. They have all different types of fish. They have actually a bunch of different types of chicken too. They have lamb. I'm telling you, if you give it Good Life a shot and try some of their different meats, which are still great on the macros, you'll start to appreciate the things that you can get from different meat. Don't think too hard about that one. But check out Good Life because we're sure that you're going to love the taste and the quality. And it's good for your health. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, that's over at goodlifeproteins.com. And at checkout, enter promo code POWER to save 20% off your entire order. Or if you want to save even more, use promo code POWERPROJECT to save an additional 5% off your build box. Again, goodlifeproteins.com. Link is in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
I find it really interesting that there's so many people that are pretty young that are not doing well, that are just like in a lot of pain. You mentioned, being on medications and stuff like that. And I think it's just acceptable in our society today to have these ailments. And if you start talking too healthy, then you're completely out of your mind.
Oh yeah.
Then you're
excessive.
You're
crazy.
Because like a lot of people don't really have much problem with you mentioning like, oh, you should have a couple glasses of water every day. Like, okay, amen. Cool. I could do that. Eat a little bit more protein. Okay, that makes sense. I hear a lot of other health people say that. Grounding. Wait, what?
Getting grass.
The earth is an electromagnetic field. Wait, what? A human body is a fucking antenna. What? They don't want to like hear any of that stuff. And it's annoying to me because these things are free. And I realize there's some complications for some people to do it at certain times of the year and stuff like that. But it's just awesome, getting out in nature, getting out in the woods, getting out on some dirt, getting out on a beach. There's so many things we have access to. Go to a park. There's just like so many wonderful and great things that have so much to do with health that we tend to deny for some reason. And they're huge aspects. And for people with anxiety, I mean, there's thousands of years of people talking about how much, going on like a hike or something does for anxiety and being in the woods and being around trees. This morning, I saw that they're running a study in Louisville, Kentucky, where they're putting like a lot of trees in this community, which Louisville, Kentucky, by the way, is full of a lot of green stuff and trees anyway, but specifically, and they're testing the people in the area. and they're testing a lot of their health markers. And a lot of their health markers are improving.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, holy shit, we see a correlation with the trees. And the trees, you know, by no mistake, they breathe out what we breathe in and so on. I mean, it's just like, there's a great connection of health that goes well beyond just some of the little changes that you might make to your diet.
Mm-hmm. Also, don't, you know, as you get older, a lot of times you don't want to see what's going on with your blood work. It's important. I think that's why Merrick is so cool and why we talk about them so much, because usually, especially men, we don't go get checkups. Actually, no, I haven't gotten a physical in a bit, but I got my blood work. But that's the thing. It's one of those things where men, we kind of avoid the hospital. And I'm not scared of avoiding the hospital because like I have my blood work and I'm cool. But in general, if you're not getting your checkups and you don't know what's going on with your blood work, then you get surprised with something later on. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where that type of stuff gives you the ability to make sure year by year, everything is moving the way it should, and you have nothing to be stressed about.
And you're doing this for other family members and stuff too, like your mom and stuff. Your mom's lifting and stuff like that now, right?
Yeah, my mom, my sister. It's important because, like, you know, I want her to do well, so I can also see what's going on with her blood work. And it's one of those things where when you get that stuff done with Merrick, you'll get suggestions on things you can do that's not medication. And I'm not saying medication is bad, but the more you can stave off having to use meds, the better off you're going to probably be. It's all these things you can take care of naturally with your habits.
Yeah, and I'm getting some blood work done through Merrick coming up, and I'm going to get some blood work for Andy and for Jake and for Quinn as well, because I'm like, all four of us might as well just do it. You know, might as well see... might as well see like what kind of starting point do they have, and they can, you know, learn about what's going on with their blood at a young age. And then if they ever care to like look at that further, they can be like, oh, well, that's normal for me, or that's actually, you know, isn't normal for me, or whatever. So I do just think it's like, again, I think our society, we're just so accepting of pharmaceutical medications and these other like interventions to come and kind of like save the day for us. But I wish that we were just more proactive and out in front of it a little bit more, because I think that people that are in their late 20s and 30s and stuff, I think you should feel really good. Shouldn't be a lot of pain. And again, I realize everyone's life is so different, and my brother's had chronic pain forever that has been very difficult to figure out. He's got a lot of tightness in his body that's hard to figure out. And so there's going to be individuals that just are dealt certain cards. We're all just dealt certain cards, and certain things happen certain ways, but still, you could still be healthier. Like there's still, whatever level you're at, there's still a way for you to figure out how you can be healthier. And these people that are not feeling well at such young ages, I think it's really concerning.
Mm-hmm. And it's just widely accepted. There's just like a lot of memes that are pretty accurate, but it's like, hey, if you graduated in 2003, what kind of smoker do you have, and how bad is your low back pain? And it's like, well, I have a Pit Boss, and it's actually pretty good right now. But, you know, so again, it's like one of those things where if it's a meme, then now all of a sudden everybody just thinks that, oh yeah, we're supposed to feel this way. Yeah. But no, you're not. And yeah, it does kind of suck to be the weirdo of the family, I guess I'll say. It doesn't suck. It's awesome. But it's a bummer that you are the outsider when you don't drink alcohol. You're the outsider when you bring your food or you don't eat, period, because it's not good, you know, good choices. That's what happened to me in Vegas. I don't drink nor eat bad food. So I was really hungry and sober the whole time. And I didn't want to lose weight, but I did. But it's hard to tell somebody and I'm very attached to food. That this trip showed me that big time, because I was hungry the whole time. But when somebody's really attached to food, to be like, maybe sometimes you just don't eat because the choices aren't good enough. Mm-hmm. That sounds wild to somebody, but sometimes that is, not only is it the only answer, but it's going to be the best answer to a tricky, you know, food situation.
That would have sounded wild to me. I don't know, my early 20s.
Can you imagine?
Like, what? Not eat? No, I'm gonna eat. Fucking eat.
Gangs, bro.
Right? Yeah. No.
It's like, what do you mean there's nothing good? That just means I get to eat something pretty bad.
Something interesting for the beer lovers. For the beer lovers in the audience, there's this brand called The Athletic. We were at dinner with my girlfriend's mom and somebody else the other day, and they had this non-alcoholic beer.
Light?
And I got it, and it was really good. It tasted like an IPA, but it had like 0.5% alcohol.
Oh.
So there's barely any alcohol in
So
it.
it's
and
gross
it actually tastes
and
good.
doesn't get you drunk.
I like the taste of
Just
IPAs.
fucking
I
with you.
do
That's
like
what-
the taste of IPAs.
That's
but
what
the
people
thing.
will say. I'm just fucking with you.
But that's the thing. For people who do like IPAs and you don't want alcohol, you don't. That's actually a good option.
You know who drinks a lot less these days?
Casey.
And drinks, no, it's even crazier than that. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Get
Yeah.
out of here.
By the way, he's in amazing shape. See if you can bring up his Instagram. He had a
Yes.
post the other day where he was like in front of like a four-wheeler or something. He's doing some like race or something. He's jacked as fuck. He looks awesome.
Hell yeah.
Stone Cold.
240
and beer.
pounds and
Let's
shredded.
do this.
Goes hand in hand. Stone Cold and beer.
I know, right?
What?
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be doing that shit with like the.
Yeah.
Like protein shakes. This one maybe? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not
It's
sure
just-
which one it would be.
So that's just him in.
Oh, it's like a picture, I think.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you can find it, but I mean,
Oh, right there. There's one.
Damn.
Holy
Oh, yeah.
shit. Wow.
Dude.
He looks like he'd get back in the ring.
Yeah, because I don't remember him being vascular like that.
Wow.
he did get back in the ring like maybe like 6 months ago, or I think last WrestleMania. I think WrestleMania I forget when WrestleMania is, but yeah, I think the last WrestleMania or maybe the one before that, he did come back, and I asked him about how he felt about it, and he's kind of regarded as the greatest wrestler of all time, and he's just very talented in the ring. There's a lot of nuances to wrestling that people don't know much about, but he's one of the best on the microphone, and he's one of the best in the ring in the history of wrestling. And he was like, it wasn't that good. He's like, it wasn't that good. And then I was like, I don't remember it not being good, because like I don't follow wrestling that much anymore, but I do remember hearing it, and I thought I caught like some of the match and stuff. So then I went and checked it out on like YouTube and stuff. And the match was amazing. And so I text him, and I'm like, what? Like, he's like, no, it just wasn't up to my standard. He's
Dude.
like, he's like the guy that he was working with. He's like, he stepped inside the ring with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's like, that's the way I wanted it to be. And he's like, he didn't get that opportunity. He stepped in the ring with a guy that's retired. And I was like, damn, he's hard on himself.
The GOAT.
Yeah,
incredible.
badass motherfucker. But I do think alternatives are great. You're mentioning a different type of beer. Kava for some people, but in this video, we're talking a lot about sodas. There's so many alternative drinks nowadays.
So many.
Kava's great.
I got
love
introduced
Kava.
to a product recently. It's called Perfy, which uses natural fruit juices in the product, and it only has like around 10 grams of carbs.
Perfy?
Maybe it's
PER?
maybe it's only like 3 or 4 grams of sugar, and it also has ashwagandha in it as well.
PRFY.
So it's like a kind of relaxing drink, but they taste amazing. I'll have the guy send some here to the studio. Just an absolutely incredible product. So there's options everywhere. If you're paying attention, you got your eyes open. And we talk all the time on the show about legendary foods and all these different, snacks and things that you can get. But that one right there, is that the Dr. Pepper one?
Yeah, Dr. Perfy.
Oh my God, dude. I don't know how he made, like, that tastes so good. It's like got a pear on the front of the bottle or whatever, but I was like, how would a pear taste like Dr. Pepper? But it kind of does.
Don't let lifting weights destroy your body. That might sound weird because we all love to lift, but you've seen people who lift who are broken. That's what we talk about in this episode here. Ways to lift while not messing yourself up. Click it. It's going to help you out.